discussions and bold ideas from the edge of possibility.
And welcome back to Cutting Edge Consciousness. Freeman Michaels here with Sandy Stewart.
Hi.
We're back.
That was fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love the context, that the tantric perspective is a context within which lots of things can fit. And I love how inclusive, Mark is describing this, that, the path, the real path is to embrace even the tricky moments, because that is so much learning and growth in those. Mm-hmm. And they're critical for our larger genius.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is lost here. Nothing is nothing, everything fits in some crazy way.
Yeah, the other thing I really liked is reading the book was fabulous, and I got a lot of great stuff from the book. But hearing him and feeling his energy, I could feel the authenticity of what he writes and how he lives. Because he put me in a very calm, kind of present moment place. His voice is very melodic, and I could feel how he is in the present, and that's so attractive. It attracted me to the same energy.
Well, and so look, this is really interesting. I'm going to reveal some behind-the-scenes stuff here at Cutting Edge Consciousness. I reach out to the guest always before the show, just briefly, just to say, hey, here's what we're doing, line it up. And I am struck sometimes at how who I talk to on the phone before they're on air is different than the person on air. It's okay. I'm not making it wrong. I'm just aware of that. He wasn't. He was calm and cool and kind of sweet in the pre-conversation.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So I just want to report that.
Yeah.
So I agree with you.
Yeah.
And look, I won't ever name names about who's like sort of different, And you never know, too, what's going on when people are answering the phone. They're not in the state that they're going to be in when they're going to be on the show. But it's fascinating for me to kind of track that,
I could feel it. I could really feel it in him.
Yeah. I love the path. I mean, again, what we were talking about with him earlier, where there is some crisis moment, and you're kind of lucky if you can have it early, and find these kinds of tools and, again, a way of working with what's coming in that's constructive, a context, right? A practices context for holding it. Because then everything begins to fit, and what a relief.
Yeah.
Because that anxiety he was talking about in his 20s, which I've experienced in my 20s, but also experienced it later on, that it ought to be different, that I ought to be able to fix this, is just excruciating. And it's not required. I guess it is because it all fits, but I had to do those years pretty much split off from my emotions and from who I was. And the problem I had was that everything I was doing came out really successful in the world. So I was very successful from the outer world. I was very unhappy inside, but it didn't make sense to be unhappy when I was successful. So the only way to be was kind of split off and not really at home in my body or in my experience. And it was only until I had a health crisis at about 58 that I began to realize, wow, life isn't exactly how I experience it. My husband doesn't agree with me because I'm always right. I always thought he just agrees with me because I'm always right. But then I got to see all the layers of the codependency we were doing that had nothing to do with. But I was able to keep that game alive for so many years because on the outside I looked so together and so successful, and it wasn't true. And I had to fall down to become successful and together. Raising my hand because a lot of those successful moments where the world was telling me how great I was doing weren't terribly fulfilling internally, and the gratitude that they came apart, right? Again, the acting where I was on a soap opera and things were seemingly going well, or the moment that I had, a bunch of property and a lot of money, and I'm grateful, that wasn't fun.
No.
Those things
it sucks, away. But would you go back to that for a minute?
No.
Never.
No, and it all fits, though. I mean, again, it's interesting because what I'm really enjoying, which is this corporate training, I didn't know that that too. Even just a few years ago, if you'd said to me, Freeman, you're going to be doing a women in leadership program with a major bank in Mexico, I would have went, no, not possible. But of course, with Susan Leahy and Gabrielle and others, we're doing this amazing program, and I'm enjoying it so much. But all these things that came from various threads in my life, writing a proposal and then putting together this whole thing, it's kind of hurts the back of my brain because it's a real stretch for me to kind of do the paperwork. And I've always said I'm not the paperwork guy. Well, I am, and I'm doing a good job at it, and I'm enjoying it. You know, it's just like it was there, available, and someone had to do it, and I said, okay, I'll do it, you know. And who knew I'd like it so much, you know?
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah.
That's the great expression in life. Like all those moments where you go, wow, who knew I'd be, you know.
Your soul knew. Somebody knew.
That's it. So
and one thing led you.
Totally.
Yeah.
What wants to be expressed through me? What genius wants to be expressed? And the trick with that is you can't possibly know it. It's always going to be revealed in a kind of gift way because that's the nature of it. It's beyond what you can presently see.
It's never what it is.
Never.
Barnett and I always, we say this many times a week, and sometimes it's around an argument we're having or a disagreement, and sometimes it's just around life, but the thing is never the thing.
Right.
Like the thing you think it is never the thing. So what's the real thing?
Right. Well, what's interesting about that from the perspective of the unfolding, the sort of magnificence, I get there's a kind of what's the real shadow, like let's dig a little, but there's also this light piece where there are threads, or maybe there are qualities, right, that we're aware of, that we may have experienced in various moments in our lives.
Right.
And I, up until fairly recently, always attached those experiences to the thing I was doing and say, oh, I like doing this thing, right, this outcome. I like that, you know, or this single expression. What I've really come to, it's not about the expression, it's about the quality. Yes, it's been expressed in these various ways. Right. You know, performing or whatever, which then I can say, oh, I see why other things have been fulfilling, and I can track the various expressions, but it has nothing to do with the expression. It's the quality of experience.
Yeah. It's the function, not the form.
Yes, and we're so distracted by form.
So distracted by form. How's it going to look? Even what we were talking about earlier with kids at 3 years old. What are you going to be? How are you going to do? What box are you going to put it in?
Right.
And that's all form, not how do you want to feel when you grow up?
Yes.
Does anybody ask that question?
We've been talking on the show for 5 years about reframing success as a fulfillment orientation, not as an outcome. Like, I don't care what it looks like, you know? Yeah. What's interesting about that, because there is this way, again, that everything comes along to, right? So I think we have to aim at outcomes because that's what we can see from here, knowing that it's going to change and be different, you know? So it becomes this balancing act because we don't want to overreact and say, well, I don't know what it's going to look like. Well, come up with some ideas or you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
You know, aim at something.
Loosely. Hold it loosely.
Loosely. Thank you. Hold it loosely. That's exactly right. That's what I'm thinking.
And when it's loose, you can almost have this image of something wafting in the breeze.
Yes.
And when it's fluid like that, there's room for something to flow in and then other things to flow out.
And even to anticipate that there's going to be something cool that happens here. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
You know, in acting we used to call it indicating. Don't indicate, meaning allow the moment to organically unfold. Yeah. But you always expect. You know, that's Barnett's thing about have that, you know, healthy sense of desire and expectation. And the ability to imagine off of the threads of what's been done before. Right?
Yeah.
So that's something.
Well, you need a path. You know, you need to sort of follow what
we're aiming.
Mark was
you got to aim in some way.
Yeah.
And
it's exciting.
It is exciting.
It is exciting.
It is.
When you can hold the unknown with knowing without certainty.
Knowing without certainty. And embracing the whole ride. I mean, we were talking about this morning at coffee when you and I were hanging out about how much stuff is going on for you. And I reflected our mutual friend Susan Leahy, who I train with, of course, who's now moved to Mexico because she just wanted an adventure and all kinds of other ideas she had about let's try this. And I was talking to her the other day, and she was saying, I can't believe how many layers of complexity are going on. She had a full-on emotional kind of breakdown before she left, and she felt like she was breaking up with friends because she was leaving, and all these layers and layers and layers, and then moments of sheer excitement and dread. And she said, and it's all okay. It's all part of this ride.
So brave. I mean, just thinking of her down there, and just like little things like getting a phone hooked up,
Yeah.
as opposed to how it's done here. Every single thing is different.
Right.
And to just be, it's a great, I would think it would be great because it's a place where when everything is unfamiliar, your ego kind of falls apart.
Yeah.
And you just have to be from your core in this experience because you don't have all of your stuff that gives you comfort and identity around you, and you're a stranger in this strange place. It's very brave.
Well, and it freaks other people out. Look,
Sure.
one of the things she said to me the other day, she says, I'm so sick of people asking me, do I like it? Mm-hmm. Because she's like, there's things I like, there's things I don't like. Too soon.
It's like saying, do you like your life today?
Or it's like saying to a 4-year-old, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Right.
It's not a good time to decide that. You've been there for a week. Relax,
Right.
But we do that. Again, we keep organizing back
certainty,
to this small menu.
wanting certainty, wanting
I have
to know.
decide within 24 hours if I like it or not.
Yeah. Did I make the right decision?
Yeah, it's horrible. So she said, please don't ask me if I like it down here. I said, I won't. I got you.
I've been so aware of that too, with like the potential of selling our house, and do we want to move, and don't want to move. And when I go into what's the confusion about it, well, there's this idea, I want to make the right decision.
Yes.
Well, where did that come from? And what is the right decision? And how could any decision be wrong?
Yeah, exactly.
There's no wrong decision.
Yeah.
Every decision will have things I like and things I don't like. And there'll be complexities. And can I just be with it, but looking for that guarantee that I'm going to make this decision and then I'm going to feel good.
Right. And there's another tyranny to weave into this, which is our incessant storytelling, right? That we want to frame it in a single dimensional way, right? Versus allowing it to be complex. That's why I love sometimes to speak in terms of part of me. Well, part of me wants to tell the story.
Yeah, but it's true.
And another part of me, so that I can hold. Again, we've kind of defined consciousness as the ability to handle dynamic complexity. Yeah. Dynamic meaning always change and layers of complexity.
To contain it, just to be able to contain it and be present with it. Yeah. Not have to do what we do to space out, which I must say, 5 episodes on Saturday of Downton Abbey was a way that I was just not dealing with the unknown. Right. But it felt really good for 5 episodes to just split off.
Right. And when you're on the 5th day of that, you go, okay, wait,
it was 1 day, but 5 episodes. But still, by the end of it, I went, okay, that was enough indulging of not being home. Now it's time to come back.
I'll tell you a little funny story. So, of course, I'm going back and forth to Mexico, and I've always wanted to learn Spanish. I am addictive, like most people, with my device. And so for a while, I had solitaire on it, and then I had to delete that because it was like I was playing solitaire all the time. I'm like, I gotta stop this. And then we started playing Pinochle with a couple friend of ours. So I said, I can practice Pinochle. That's constructive. No, it's not. So so I have this Duolingo, which is an app to learn languages. In this case,
I
Spanish.
need that for Italian.
Oh my gosh, I'm loving it. So when
have you been learning?
I look at my tracker because it tells you how much time you've been spending. I'm on for like 30, 40 minutes a day, almost every day. There's some days I miss, but I try to do it every day because look, I'm already doing the distraction thing. Let's make it constructive.
Of course.
Like, let's just acknowledge.
Rather than reading the same email 6 times.
Exactly. Let's acknowledge that I have this tendency to do this, and let's make it constructive. So I'm digging it. I don't know if my Spanish is getting that much better, but I'm into it. I'm practicing.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So I guess if we were to sum things up, not that we have to on this show, we love leaving things open-ended, but I think there is something to say with everything fits, and to the degree we're choosing and navigating from a context, right, that can hold a bigger vision for our lives, there's nothing wrong. Everything can fit. And even that thing that we're calling wrong, the challenge as it were, can we choose to presume that it's good?
Right.
That's a big shift for me personally.
I'm okay now, and I'll be okay then.
That's right. And all there is now. So when the now, the then becomes now,
I'll still be okay.
Yeah.
When the then becomes now, I'll still be okay.
And what is present in the now is that we're done. So
but once again, it's been great fun.
Awesome fun.
I know. I love doing this.
And for those of you listening, we of course invite you to keep coming back to Cutting Edge Consciousness. Thanks for listening.